Hello there guys, welcome to another My Live video. So this is your Manchester United versus Rochdale preview in the Cowbell Cup third round tomorrow evening. Just going to give you some team news, building up to the game. There has been some good news in regards to Paul Pogba. I want to give you an update on. Reportedly, as you all know, Paul Pogba has been out over an ankle injury. Obviously, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he had to withdraw from the France squad, of course, with his ankle injury. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, has assured that Paul Pogba tomorrow evening, will get some minutes under his belt. And I actually do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to go with a similar team, as he did do against FC Mestania. And I think this particular game against Rochdale tomorrow evening is more of a chance of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, going more with the youth. And I did say, I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in some aspects. He's got a lot of trust with in his young upcoming players. Throughout the course of the summer as well, he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, and he did recommend, three good players into the squad. But I'm not gonna, assure that Manchester United are gonna win this game tomorrow evening against Rochdale, because obviously, we got knocked out of the Cowbell Cup last season against Derby, and obviously, so far this season we've enjoyed a bad start to the season. But despite the fact that we've enjoyed despite the fact that we've enjoyed a bad start to the season, Manchester United are still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ed Woodward, is still convinced that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can still turn things around at Manchester United. But obviously, anyway, reflecting on the amount of injuries we've had, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had to make alterations in the squad anyway. So Pogba should be back for tomorrow evening, but definitely will be fully fit for the game against Arsenal, which is next Monday, which is obviously going to be a big game. News in regards to Mason Greenwood. Now we are hopeful he can be available to play tomorrow evening. Obviously we do know Mason Greenwood missed the trip to London against West Ham at the weekend. Obviously due to that he's had tonsillitis, because don't forget there was reports emerging out prior to the West Ham game that Mason Greenwood could have started, because actually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would give his overarching view on Mason Greenwood. He gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he did say it'd be impossible to leave him with the team. If he does keep scoring, and if he's to keep the consistency up and that. Mason Greenwood, don't forget, scored his first official senior goal for the football club in the 1-0 victory over FC Mestania last week. So hopefully, he can be ready, to play against Rochdale tomorrow evening. Mason Greenwood is only 17 years of age, but actually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did assure at the start of the season that Mason Greenwood, will get more first team opportunities. But yeah, very, very good player. And I think at this moment in time, he is a much better solution than Marcus Rashford, because I don't think Marcus Rashford has been too good this season, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Rashford hasn't performed to the same sort of extent as how, Martial, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire and Daniel James and that's performed, but he has done okay in patches. We know that Rashford is not available for this game as well. That's been confirmed, because don't forget Rashford came off injured in either 2-0 defeat to West Ham. We don't know how severe the injury is yet. We don't know how long Rashford's going to be out for, but we do know that I think he has got some kind of a groin problem as Rashford. So that's another injury to Manchester United. So we know he's not going to be playing tomorrow evening. But I'm just hopeful that Mason Greenwood can be playing. I think this is another particular game as well, where Chon, should get the opportunity. Obviously, Chon has played a few times this season, hasn't played many games. Obviously, we do know that Chon is staying at the football club at least for this season, because don't forget earlier on in the summer, quite recently actually, PSV had inquired about getting Chon. Also, his former club Fernand went in for him. Them two inquired about getting him on loan, but Chong had turned these loan offers down, because obviously he wants to stay with Manchester United. There was reports actually reflecting out the other week saying that he was in negotiations with the football club over a new contract and that. But yeah, I think he should be involved in this game. News in regards to Martial and Luke Shaw, they're going to miss tomorrow evening's game. That's been confirmed. I am hopeful that Martial and Luke Shaw can be back for the Arsenal game next week. Actually, no, Anthony Martial, I think, has missed the last 4 games for Manchester United with a thigh injury. Luke Shaw's also missed the last 4 games for Manchester United with a hamstring problem. So we have got still, some imperative players out there with injury. And I did say, before Anthony Martial, got injured, I think he was arguably, one of our best players this season. I think he's enjoyed a good start to this season. And when Martial does regain full fitness, and he can avoid sustaining any more injuries, and he can keep the consistency up, I think he can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season. Can Anthony Martial? Don't forget, he's now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. But we do know he has been a big miss. Obviously, we do know this season that Martial's played in number 9, Rashford's played in number 9. Greenwood, I think's played in number 9 and that. Obviously, Martial's, Martial and Rashford are compatible in that aspect, because they can, both play centrally. Rashford can play centrally and out wide. Martial can play centrally and out wide. But I think Martial's more of the effective player in that central position. If I'm going to be quite honest, I don't even know Rashford's preferred position, to be quite honest with you. I don't know Rashford's preferred position. I think for the majority of this season, when Martial's fit, he probably, will play on that flank. A lot of people actually believe that, Rashford is overrated and that, even though he hasn't been too good, this season so far, wasn't too good towards the back end of last season, I'd still say Rashford is the long-term solution for Man United, because despite that he hasn't been that good, Ollie, still selects, Rashford on a regular basis and that. But yeah, he will not be playing tomorrow evening. Like I said, with Luke Shaw, before he sustained the hamstring injury, I think he had a pretty average start to this season. But analysing the majority of Luke Shaw's career with Manchester United, I think he's been mainly consistent. And we do know when he's at his best, Luke Shaw does make a difference on that left-hand side. I think Luke Shaw now is into his 5th season. He's a Manchester United player. Like I said, he's had some rough parts, during his Man United tenure. He had a bad spell under Mourinho. Obviously, he has sustained quite a few injuries. But I think prior to that, he has been very, very consistent as Luke Shaw. Don't forget, we've got Eric Bailly, of course. He's out until, I think, the new year. So he's a long-term absence. Also, Fosu Mensah is a long-term absence. I think also, Lee Grant is out with injury. Recently, we do know Diego Dalot, not too long ago, recovered from a groin problem. He actually, played in the FC Astana game. Also, too, Jesse Lingard, not too long ago, recovered from an illness. But yeah, in this particular game, Solskjaer will make alterations. Maybe we'll go with some of the experienced players tomorrow evening, as well as the youngsters and that. Maybe Jones may get another chance tomorrow. Maybe Marcus Rojo may get another chance tomorrow, because they made their first appearances did Jones and Rojo in the 1-0 victory over FC Astana. It's probably likely tomorrow we'll see Alex Tuanzebe playing in the game, because he did initially say he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, despite the fact that obviously Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre-backs. I think in the Cup games, in the Europa League games, Alex Tuanzebe especially will get given his opportunities and that. But like I did say, in the game against Rochdale, Solskjaer will rest certain players. I think he'll probably rest down Wan-Bissaka, he'll rest Harry Maguire. I presume he'll probably rest Victor Lindelof. So he will rest some of the key players for the game against Arsenal next Monday. But yeah, this is a game, Manchester United, should definitely win. Obviously, Rochdale are in League One. I do believe, they are sitting like 17th in League One, Rochdale. So it's a game, that Manchester United, of course, should win. Obviously, the last time we won the Carabao Cup, obviously, was back in 2017 under the Jose Mourinho I also believe as well that De Gea will be dropped in this game. Like I said, I think, Solskjaer will go Romero. Romero is obviously our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, he's got the experience of participating in the cup games and the Europa League and that. But yeah, Romero is our second choice keeper. But I think he will start in this particular game against Rochdale. So yeah, we know that Martial and Luke Shaw are not going to be playing. Rashford's not going to be playing. But Pogba has been assured he should get minutes under his belt, and we're hopeful that Mason Greenwood can be available for the game tomorrow. So that's the team news, building up to the game. But like I did say, obviously we have enjoyed them a really, really bad start to this season. Obviously, we're 6 games now. We're 6 games into the Premier League season. We've played 7 games in all competitions. Obviously, we've only won two, we've won 2, we've drawn 2, and of course we have lost 2 in the Premier League. So in that aspect, we've only registered 8 points, and we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our current standards. Now, obviously, we've reflected on our 2-0 defeat to West Ham at the weekend. Obviously, now the vast majority of Manchester United fans, are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the football club. Well, I'm actually not one of those fans that are demanding him out of the football club, because like I did say, I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Don't forget, you can still quite frankly say he's still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, and I do believe, we do need to give him more time, to make further more investment in the squad. So I do believe, we need to give him till January to try and make more investment, maybe perhaps until next summer and that. But like I did say to you on one of my videos yesterday, I think due to our inconsistency, I think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board. It is a bit of a mixture, but I think the vast majority of the blame is stemming from the board, because the board, didn't, back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, the board didn't recommend any sufficient attackers in, they didn't recommend, any sufficient, midfielders in. So in that aspect, the board are to blame. I also believe, some of the blame, does stem from Ed Woodward, because obviously, Ed Woodward is the vice chairman, and obviously, Ed Woodward, oversees our transfer business. So you can say some of the blame does stem from him. Also, some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because his, tactics are questionable. And I believe also some of the blame does stem from the team, because I think certain players, do need to look at themselves, and they do need to take some responsibility. So I think it's the blame. I think it's a bit of a mixture, to be quite honest with you. But the vast majority of the blame, does stem from the board. But Solskjaer did recommend 3 good players in throughout the course of the summer. We spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings they have proven to be so far. I also think Daniel James, will be playing tomorrow evening as well, or should be involved in the game. Obviously, he actually played against West Ham at the weekend, surprisingly, because there was reports emerging out prior to the West Ham game that Daniel James could have missed that game, because don't forget, he's recently, been out with a knock injury. But, Daniel James enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He obviously, he has scored 3 goals so far this season as Daniel James. So in that aspect, he is joint top goal scorer alongside Marcus Rashford. Don't forget, Daniel James is supposed to be more effective on that left. We've played him on the left, I think, a couple of times this season. We've also put him on the right and that. But he's been absolutely fantastic for Man United. And Wan-Bissaka, I think he's settled in really, really well. A lot of people believe, that Wan-Bissaka, has been our most consistent signing and that. And I think, if he is to keep the consistency up on Wan-Bissaka, I think, his valuation will persistently grow, just like, he will persistently grow in that. And obviously, his distribution's good on Wan-Bissaka's. He shows that ability to play out from the back, and he's been fantastic so far. I think Harry Maguire overall has settled in, really, really well as a Manchester United player. So we spent over £140 million on them 3 players. So I'm happy, that we did, that we did get that experienced centre half, and we got that right back in that. So we did address some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all of the problematic areas. But I did say it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window, because this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. Now, I haven't really seen much improvements under Solskjaer, than what I saw, under Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, and of course David Moyes and that. But for me, as you all know, Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era and that. Obviously, like I said, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He's a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And like I said, we haven't really got the structure, to keep sacking managers. We haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. We're not really known for a sacking club, despite the fact, that 3 managers have been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. And we do know that, obviously, we want to get back to being a competitive elite level football club. want to be up there, want to be back, winning a silverware and that. And, we just haven't done this in the last 6 or 7 years. And I did say, reflecting on the amount of money that's been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years, reflecting on the dimension and the history of this football club, we should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now. But I'm still, backing Mulligan and Solskjaer all the way. I think the board, liability in my opinion. I think the board do need to assure, structural changes at the football club, because we do need structural changes in that. And the big question is, are the board, going to give Mulligan and Solskjaer, all the tools and that he does need. We do know one thing for certain, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is sticking to the same policy, of signing young British players, because this is obviously something he did want to do earlier on in the summer and that. So I think we're set to target up to 5 British players next summer reportedly. But for me, you can still see the deficiencies in the squad. We've definitely got to try and get a midfielder in in January or next summer. We need to get at least one midfielder, and I think we maybe even need 2 midfielders. We need 2 midfielders, I think, if Paul Pogba does leave the football club. But yeah, that midfield area is one of the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a right winner. But I said, if we continue this bad run of form, I think the pressure will keep mounting up on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think we could actually enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. Finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League and that. And yeah, it was a huge disappointment. I think also our away record has been very, very poor recently. We haven't won away from home, since since the PSG game last season, when Manchester United produced that miraculous comeback. Obviously, that particular, game, and that was obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. For me, I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. I've been watching people's fan cams, they're demanding, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that I'm out of the football club. I do agree, we are, tactically inept, and that, like I said, some of his tactics are questionable, but with Solskjaer, I've got huge doubts about him, and I've got element of concerns about him as well. I don't think, he can bring the winning mentality back to the club. I don't think he can bring that fear factor, back to the football club, because we know neither of them have been there since the Alex Ferguson and Moreira. And like I do keep saying, regardless who our manager is, I don't think, we're going to ever replicate, what we did under Alex Ferguson. No one's going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy in that. But what you have to take into account is that, you've got to give managers time, because don't forget, when Alex Ferguson first got recommended in from Aberdeen back in 1985 and that, or 1986 was it? He didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United and that. And then look then he was on the verge of basically getting the sack. He was on the verge of getting the sack. Was Alex Ferguson, and then all of a sudden look what happened. We had 20 odd years of success under him in that. So for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need more time and that. But yeah, on this video as well, may give him a starting 11 prediction for the game and that. Like I said, I think also Angel Gomez, will be involved in this game against Rochdale. So he definitely, will make alterations, will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I said, we got rid of the lot of the deadwood, throughout the course of the summer as well. A lot of players have now left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we do know that Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Chris Smalling go out on loan to Roma. Quite a few players, have been loaned out, and actually, Italy's been a popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. Smalling went out on loan there. Despite the fact that Smalling left, though, we have still got 6 centre backs in the team. Obviously, Darmian, went to Italy, don't forget. Obviously, Sanchez and Lukaku both went to Inter Milan, so obviously, in that aspect, they're reuniting together in that. Obviously, other players have left that didn't go to Italy. Obviously, Ander Herrera left the football club earlier on in the summer on a 3 transfer. Obviously, you could arguably say, Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. He had 5 successful years at Manchester United, and we do know the difference he did make in that midfield. But I think it was bad bad business, you know, in the aspect, you know, that we let Ander Herrera's contract run down and that we let him go on a free transfer. But like I did say anyway, you know, we are known for, you know, overpaying for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, you know, we let them go for next to nothing. And, you know, there's been prime examples of it this summer. There's also been prime examples of it in the past, and that, you know, obviously we did it with Darmian this summer. You know, we paid just over £12 million to him from Torino back in 2015 and that. And then obviously, you know, earlier on this summer, you know, we let him go for just over £3 million. And, you know, with Ander Herrera, you know, we paid £29 million to him from Bilbao and then let him go on a free transfer earlier on this summer. It was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera and Marian Fellaini, you know, to be quite honest with you. Fellaini, as you all know, went to China back in January. You know, obviously, you know, he served 6 years at Manchester United and that. We also do know that a couple of goalkeepers have been loaned out, but I still believe as we speak now, you know, there is problematic players in the football club, and I think there's actually quite a lot of players that are not good enough, you know, to represent Manchester United and that. You know, I do believe, you know, that Phil Jones is one of the problematic players at the football club. He will get his opportunities in the cup games and that. Obviously, you know, we'll struggle to get opportunities in the league games and stuff. Jones has been at Manchester United 8 years. You know, he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Is Phil Jones. He's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, you know, we give him a new long-term contract last season. You know, that was a mistake by the football club. You know, giving him a new long-term contract and that. But I think he's one of the players that does need to be moved on in January or next summer. Obviously, you know, Marcus Rojo now, he's another one of our centre-backs in that, and don't forget, he was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation throughout the course of the summer. If you remember rightly, you know, Everton had inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day. Also too, you know, Marcelo, Monaco and AC Milan also inquired about getting Rojo. I think, you know, Rojo, you know, his versatility, you know, and that's really, really good. Obviously, you know, he's primarily a centre-back, but he can play as a full-back and a wing-back. So he can play in various positions in that back line. But Rojo has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. Like I said, he's got under 2 years left on his contract. So if we could try and get rid of them in January, you know, we could cash in for Phil Jones and Rojo, and we could maybe cash in from between maybe 25 to 30 million pounds. You know, with Ashley Young, obviously we do know that probably, you know, Young, you know, will be in contention to start tomorrow evening, to be quite honest, or should be involved in the game. Obviously Young has been playing, you know, quite recently, you know, well, he's been playing on a regular basis quite recently, mainly due to the absence of Luke Shaw, because obviously mainly Young has been playing at that left back position, even though Ashley Young is predominantly a right back. Actually, Ashley Young was actually, you know, our first choice right back last season, but I think Young has passed his sell-by date, obviously reflecting on his age, because, you know, Young is now, 34 years of age. You know, he's actually, you know, nearly now 35. I think he's 35 next year, if I'm right. But again, Young's been a long-serving player at the football club. You know, Young's been here 8 years. He's nearly been here. This is now his 9th season as a Man United player. So Young's also, you know, nearly been here a decade. So, and we also gave him a new 1-year extension last season, don't forget, which we shouldn't have really done. You know, I think Nemanja Matic, you know, he's a problematic player at the football club and that, you know, maybe he could be selected tomorrow. Don't forget, he did play in the game against FC Mestania. Like I said, Matic has been playing, you know, quite a lot recently. Obviously, you know, due to the absence of Paul Pogba. Well, actually, you know, Paul Pogba, you know, could get minutes under his belt, so Matic may not, you know, play in this game. But I think Matic is another player that needs to leave the football club. You know, too slow, makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. You know, he isn't getting any younger now. You know, he is age 31. Don't forget, Matic's current deal expires at the end of the season, even though we do have an option, you know, to extend his contract, you know, by a further year. Obviously, a lot of reports were circulating out the other week saying that, you know, up to 4 clubs were interested in signing Nemanja Matic, obviously on a free transfer. Obviously, he said Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and, you know, Borussia Dortmund were all interested in Nemanja Matic. So he's attracted interest from quite a few clubs. Obviously, as you see there was a trio of Italian clubs, you know, that were interested in Matic. Obviously, I think, you know, Matic has given his overarching view, and I think, you know, he's infuriated with his lack of playing time at Manchester United and that. You know, infuriated, you know, the lack of playing time at Manchester United and that, because, you know, he hasn't, you know, lost his place in the team to Scott McTominay, where, you know, as Nemanja Matic. He actually was first choice last season, but Matic now, He's into his third season at Manchester United. He has made about 90 appearances for the club in all competitions. I think around 67 of those appearances have come in the Premier League and that. We paid around, was it 35 million up front for him with 5 million in add-ons, which did potentially rise up to around 40 million pounds. So again, I do believe, we overpaid for Matic. But I would actually, put Fred in there and drop Matic. I want to see more of Fred, to be quite honest, because I'll credit Fred in the aspect, I think he's, stepped up, to the plate in the last couple of games or so. Like I said, I don't know if he's the long-term solution for Man United, Fred, and I don't know about that, and I don't know if he can keep the consistency up. But in the last couple of games, he has, done really, really well. But I think he's a much better option than Matic. But I think any of our midfielders are much better options than Matic and that, because I think they're more mobile and I think they're better on the ball, they're more reliable. And I think Matic is just too much of a liability, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. With Fred, obviously, we paid just under £50 million for him last summer. So you could arguably say we also overpaid for him. He's an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. Let's be honest, he hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. But Solskjaer did say at the start of the season he expects to see better things from Fred this season. And in regards to McTominay, I have been very, very impressed there with Scott McTominay this season. Same thoughts about McTominay of what I've got of Fred. I don't know if he's a long-term solution for Man United. Don't know if he can, keep the consistency up. I think, he should be involved tomorrow. McTominay, I think he deserves to keep he deserves to keep his place in the team. Reflecting on his impressive performances. We're doing on the last couple of league games. McTominay has actually been playing alongside Matic, but for the majority of this season, obviously, McTominay has been playing alongside Paul Pogba. But to be fair, McTominay, has been, he's been playing between the lines well. His defensive abilities and that, have been very, very good in that. But like I did say, he's developing really, really well. He's only 22, is McTominay, but we have got a lot of, young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. But I think McTominay, has done really, really well so far this season. Pereira, I think he's been a disappointment so far this season, as Andres Pereira. So he's another player, that does need to step up to the plate. There's other players I've been kind of impressed with as well. I think, the games Juan Mata's played, I think, Juan Mata has been quite impressive. Obviously, we know that Juan Mata is no longer first choice in that. Obviously, we don't, select him now regularly, as we used to do, back in the day and that, when Juan Mata was younger. And I think analysing, I think Juan Mata's had a fantastic career with Manchester United and that, this is now his 6th season at the football club. Don't forget Manchester United give Juan Mata a 2-year contract early on in the summer with an option of a further year. And in that aspect, I was surprised, that we did give Juan Mata, a 2-year contract with an option of a further year. Obviously, reflecting on his age, he is 31 years of age, is Juan Mata. So I thought the club may have only given maybe a new probably a 1-year contract and that. Don't forget, throughout the course of summer, at one point he was looking imminent. He was going to be leaving the club and that, Juan Mata. We could have actually lost him on a free transfer. There was talks about him going back to Spain, Juan Mata, because don't forget, he spent all his career in Spain, when he was younger, that is. Obviously began his career with Real Madrid. Obviously, spent 4 years with Valencia, where he actually played under Ryan Ray's guidance. Then obviously, after that he came to the Premier League. He had he had a good 2.5 years with Chelsea in that. I think he won the Champions League with them, if I'm right. And then obviously, joined us in 2014. We paid just under £40 million for him. He has made over 200 appearances for Man United in all competitions. I think he scored about 40 odd goals. Quite a few times towards the back end of last season. Quite a few times this season we have put Juan Mata in that number 10. Also he can play as the right wing and that. So he's compatible to Jesse Lingard in that aspect, because Lingard can play in the number 10. He can also play out on the right wing. But to be quite honest with you, I think Mata has been a better solution quite recently to Lingard, because Lingard has been very, very inconsistent so far this season, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, Juan Mata has done quite well, to be quite fair to him. To be quite fair to him. But yeah, definitely, further more investment is needed in the squad. And I do believe, the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer, it's probably, more than likely, we'll reignite our interest in them in January. And there was quite a lot of players on our agenda, don't forget, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, one of our main priority targets, was Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, we was in for him, for the entirety of the summer. But obviously, we didn't get Bruno Fernandes. I was very infuriated about that, because I did say, I would have been excited about the prospect of Bruno Fernandes playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield and that. Obviously, don't forget towards the back end of the window, we inquired about getting Christian Eriksen in. Obviously, we was only tentative linked to him, wasn't one of our main priority targets, but we went in for him towards the back end of the window. I think he would have added depth in our midfield, plus he's got the experience in the Premier League. He spent about 6 years with Tottenham as Christian Eriksen. But yeah, there was a lot of players on our current agenda. Don't forget we inquired about Dybala and Mandzukic. Obviously, we were seeing them as possible replacements for Romelu Lukaku, because some people are disappointed that we didn't recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, we went in for obviously James Maddison, we went in for Jadon Sancho and that. So there was a lot of players on our agenda, throughout the course of summer. But I did say, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, I think that was the main factor reason, why I wasn't competitive enough in the summer transfer window. Maybe, some people believe, this could have played a big part in us not getting, this could have played a big part in us, not having a competitive window. Obviously, with us failing, to get a director of footballing, because don't forget, throughout the course of the summer, Manchester United were in search for, a new sporting director and that. And I did say, that's one of the structural changes, that we do need at the football club. I think we need to, recommend someone in, that can, recommend someone in, who's reliable, to oversee our transfer business and that, because obviously you've got the vast majority of Man United fans now anywhere, demanding Ed Woodward out of the football club and that. In my opinion, I don't like the way the football club has been run in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But there was quite a few former Man United players linked with the director's role earlier on in the summer. Obviously, there was talks of Evra coming in, there was talks of Ferdinand, there was talks of Darren Fletcher and that. And obviously there was reports emerging out the other week, stemming from Ed Woodward, saying that he wants to recommend Edwin van der Sar as our new director of football, because obviously Edwin van der Sar's got the experience, because Edwin van der Sar is the CEO of Ajax. Obviously now he's into his 4th season at Ajax. Obviously he also was goalkeeper for Manchester United, for 6 years, from 2005 to 2011. And I think Man United have been impressed, with the work that Edwin van der Sar, has produced at Ajax, to be quite honest with you. But, maybe you could arguably say, maybe if we'd got that director of football in early on this summer, then maybe in that aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, would have been backed more, to be quite honest with you. But I think it, actually did say at the start of this season that, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe for him at least this season, because I think the board realised, that they didn't back him enough, throughout the course of the summer and that. And I think I've assured that he will be backed in January and perhaps next summer. I was reading a lot of reports the other week, and they actually said that we've identified Jadon Sancho and James Maddison as our #1 priority targets for next summer. We are aware that they're going to cost the club a substantial amount of money. Probably Jadon Sancho is going to cost us in the excess of £100 million. So obviously, we're going to have to pay a club record fee for him. James Maddison's probably going to cost us around 70 or 80 million pounds and that. But I think that there would be two good, candidate. There would be the right calibre players for Manchester United, and that we are aware, that they would dramatically improve us in that. But yeah, he does want to stick to the same policy, there's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. And, we're probably, seeing James Maddison as an adequate replacement for Pogba, because I still believe, that Paul Pogba, does want out of the football club, because James Maddison is predominantly an attacking midfielder, but, Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left quite a few times. We've already done business with Leicester this summer, don't forget, with Harry Maguire. We paid £80 million for him. Obviously, Harry Maguire is the most expensive defender in the world and that, and the second most expensive signing at the football club and that. We did overpay for him, I do agree on that, because obviously we overpaid for him because Leicester didn't really want to sell him, so this is why they wanted a substantial amount for him, because Leicester knew how much an imperative player he was and that. But like I said, if we had to have any chance of getting Maddison in January or next summer, Leicester will demand a similar fee to what they did demand for Harry Maguire. James Maddison's only 22 years of age. He is predominantly an attacking midfielder, like I said. This is his second season in the Premier League with Leicester, so it's good because he's beneficial, because he's also got experience now. Well, he's Premier League proven. Like I said, last season he did really, really well in his debut season with Leicester. He was involved in 14 goals, and obviously, he created more chances than any other player in the Premier League last season, and he's still got 4 years left on his current deal with Leicester. Leicester paid around £20 million for him from Norwich last summer. But yeah, I think he'd be the right solution for Manchester United. I think he would blend in our midfield, really well. He had a good couple of years in the Championship with Norwich as well. Obviously he began his career at Coventry as a youngster. Don't forget, he also had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen. But yeah, I think he's one of our main priority targets. Jadon Sancho, don't forget, we was in for him early on in the summer. We also identified Jadon Sancho actually as our number one priority target back in January. But obviously, we failed to get the pursuit of Jadon Sancho. Obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League and that, we have got the financial power to meet the valuations. But if you fail to qualify, if you're not in Champions League, you're gonna find it hard, to attract players to the elite level. Jadon Sancho's only 19, like I said. He is primarily a right winger. He can also play as I think he can play essentially, but mainly plays as a right winger, does Jadon Sancho. And I would be excited about the prospect of Jadon Sancho playing alongside the likes of Rashford, Martial, Daniel James in our attacking line, because I think they would blend in really well. Really well, to be quite honest. And Jadon Sancho's had 2 good seasons at Borussia Dortmund. He's now into his 3rd season as a Borussia Dortmund player, and he has become a fruition for them. Since he joined, he became a fruition for them. When he joined, Borussia Dortmund and that. Obviously, he's also played in the Premier League. Don't forget, Jadon Sancho served a couple of years with Man City. Never got a shot first team football at Man City though, so this is why he left City to join Borussia Dortmund. Jadon Sancho the other week, gave us an update on his future and that. He's still unsure about his future. I think his ambitions are obviously to win trophies in that with Borussia Dortmund. Whether Borussia Dortmund can assure him this or not, I do not know. But he still could leave Borussia Dortmund next summer. But I would love him at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But like I did say, these still, more problematic players at the football club, that do need to leave Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm glad we got that summer player out that we wanted and that. Really glad. I'm glad that we got the 3 players. We got some good players in that, but we just didn't get all our number one priority targets. But it wasn't only the summer transfer window. We wasn't competitive enough. This summer transfer window, that is. We haven't been competitive enough in the the last 3 or 4 transfer windows. We didn't obviously get anyone in January. Reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one targets. Obviously, this was back under the Jose Mourinho era and that. We've only actually just addressed our defence, to be quite honest with you. But that midfield area is one of the priority areas where Man United do need to strengthen up. As I've been saying, on a regular basis, in regards to Paul Pogba, it's good that we did convince Paul Pogba, to stay at the football club, for at least this summer. Very happy about that. Obviously, we do know throughout the course of summer, he had a long running transfer saga. He was relentlessly, linked to move to Real Madrid was Pogba, and I still believe he's orchestrating on, making a move to Real Madrid, in January, or if he doesn't leave in January, I think he will leave next summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, recently spoken about Paul Pogba, and he actually, he's actually notified Real Madrid that Paul Pogba, will not be going anywhere. Solskjaer's very adamant that Paul Pogba, is not for sale in January, so any attempts from Real Madrid in January, will be unsuccessful. This is stemming from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, but obviously, Paul Pogba will probably have different thoughts on that. Obviously, I said Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid, never materialised throughout the course of summer, because obviously, he was reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him. We demanded that we wanted around £180 million. Real Madrid were not willing to meet this and that. Obviously, £180 million is actually double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016 and that. But Zinedine Zidane, did identify, Paul Pogba as his number one priority target. Obviously, despite the fact Real Madrid did spend a substantial amount throughout the course of summer, they spent around £300 million on 5 players. They still actually, still want to make a further more investment in that. Don't forget, Christian Eriksen was on their agenda. Obviously, Real Madrid's preference is Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen. Possibly if Paul Pogba is to, renew his contract at Man United and that, Real Madrid's alternative probably will be to go in for Christian Eriksen and plan to get him on a free transfer at the end of the season when his current contract, does expire with Tottenham. But yeah, there was recent reports saying that, we'd been in negotiations of possibly, getting Paul Pogba a new contract at the football club. Reportedly it says, we're set to meet up with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, to discuss Paul Pogba's future at the club, and also over the possibility of renewing his contract, because we do know Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract at Manchester United on his current deal, with an option to extend it by a further year, and he's on around 290 grand a week, is Paul Pogba, so he is one of the highest paid players at the football club. Obviously, if Paul Pogba is to commit his long-term future at Man United, obviously, he's going to, demand a massive increase in his wages, and he'll demand to be the highest paid player at the club without a shadow of a doubt. He'll demand probably from at least between 400 to maybe even to £500,000 a week if he is to sign a new long-term contract with Manchester United. Don't forget, recent reports did say that he's purchased a guard dog for around £15,000. Obviously, £15,000 is a lot of money to quite a lot of people out there, haven't got a lot, but obviously, to, Pogba, it's basically, nothing, is £15,000. But yeah, if Paul Pogba's first choice preference throughout the course of summer, obviously, was Real Madrid and that. But Paul Pogba said early on this summer, that he wanted to leave Manchester United. He publicly admitted, that he did want to leave the football club. And I obviously give you the couple of main factor reasons why he wants to leave. Probably he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness. Maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football and that. So he's probably feeling frustrated at Manchester United. I think Pogba has obviously missed their last 3 games. I think he's missed the last 3 games, I think, for Man United in all competitions. Obviously the last game he did play, was obviously in the 1-1 draw with Southampton, where he actually did sustain that ankle injury. Obviously, don't forget, throughout the course of summer, there was talks of Paul Pogba possibly making a return back to Turin, because he did have 4 good years there with Juventus, did Pogba, don't forget. Hasn't mainly replicated this at Man United. Also, Barcelona, I think, went in for him as well. Paul Pogba's brother, Mayfield, he, fueled quite a bit of speculation during the summer and that. He actually said, Pogba, wants to go to Real Madrid. He said he knows how good, Pogba will probably represent Real Madrid. And he also said a couple of weeks ago that Paul Pogba had spoken to Lionel Messi, obviously, from Barcelona. I think also PSG inquired about getting him. Don't forget, reports did say that Paul Pogba allegedly agreed to join PSG on deadline day. He agreed a £429,000 a week contract and that with them, but his move to PSG didn't materialise, due to the Neymar saga. This was according to reports a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, Paul Pogba is still a very, very imperative player, even though he hasn't performed to he hasn't performed to the level, as we all expected and that. But we have seen Paul Pogba at his best as a Manchester United player and that. When he's at his best, he can score goals, he can provide, he's good at feeding the attackers, he's like 2 players in one, and you mainly see the best of Paul Pogba, when he's freed up. He's 26 years of age, still in his prime, still got him a lot of development in him. But obviously Paul Pogba was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation last summer, obviously reflecting on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, and Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. Paul Pogba, would have been infuriated, that he couldn't represent France, during the international break, quite a few weeks ago now. He'd be infuriated about that, because we do know that he does, like to represent France, does Paul Pogba. But yeah, so more things, we'll definitely update about him. So I still think, he does want out of the football club, in my opinion. That's my opinion on it and that. But yeah, I think he should be involved tomorrow against Rochdale. Solskjaer may not go with all the youth, I think he'll, probably select, some more experienced players, I should presume. But he'll definitely, make alterations and that. But yeah, I still think, Pogba wants him out of the football club and that. But like I did say at the start of this season, I said at the end of last season, our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top 4 and that. Maybe perhaps win some silver. And I did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations, if he's to remain at Man United. And I did say, I hope his tenure, can become successful at Manchester United. Like I did say, we've got big ambitions for the future. And obviously those ambitions are to, get back competing, get back winning silverware and that, and this is something obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does want to bring back to the football club. But I did initially say our aspirations in the next couple of seasons, will be that top 4, because analysing our squad, it's nowhere near good enough to win the league. I think it's definitely good enough for a top 4 finish, in my opinion. But we will currently see what happens. But like I said, a lot of money's being invested into the football club. Obviously, over £140 million spent this summer under the Solskjaer era, just under £400 million spent under Mourinho. He recommended 11 players in. Over £200 million spent under Van Gaal. Around £67 million was spent under Moyes. So, we've spent around £900 million, well, nearly £900 million in the last 6 or 7 years or so, in all the managerial eras. Obviously, this doesn't include, what was spent under Ferguson. And that if you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, it's way over £1 billion, that the football club, of course, have spent. We've also now, got players on big contracts, don't forget. But yeah, a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club. Like I said, the majority of this squad is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, don't forget. But yeah, so if this bad run of form does continue to persist, I can't see him lasting Manchester United, even though, I'm still backing him all the way. Obviously, Solskjaer's been at Man United, since December of last year, when he got appointed in, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, at the first, Solskjaer, got appointed in as interim manager at the football club, don't forget. Obviously, he was interim manager for 3 months. Obviously, it was really, really good then. The results were good, the performances were good, he was getting the best out of these group of players. But since he got the job permanently in March, earlier on this year, everything has just basically, seemed to have all gone wrong, to be quite honest with you. But, I give my overarching view on it. I don't think we're going to win the league or even challenge for the league, at least in the next 3 to 4 years. That's my opinion. We haven't won the league, since 2013. Obviously, that was in Alex Ferguson's last season. In that particular season, you can say Robin van Persie, won his the league. But, we had great players, back in Alex Ferguson's generation, that, we had, great players in that. We had like Scholes, Giggs, we had Neville, we had Van Nistelrooy, we had great players and that. And I just said now, this team, this day and age, I just don't think can replicate what that team did under Alex Ferguson. So that's another element of concern. Some people say we haven't had a great midfielder since we had Scholes. Obviously before we got Harry Maguire, we didn't have a world-class central defender since we had the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand and that. Before we got Wan-Bissaka in, we didn't have a world-class right-back, since we had Gary Neville. So there are a few things, you can pinpoint out. But I've analysed some of the games this season, and I think, Man United, should have won some of them, to be quite honest with you. There's certain games we haven't played particularly bad, we just haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal. This is why we haven't been scoring enough goals. And it was the same sort of problem last season, we only managed 53 goals in the Premier League, last season. We've only managed 8 goals so far this season in the Premier League, 9 goals in all competitions and that. So we need to definitely see more improvements. There's improvements needed on the pitch. There's also improvements needed off the pitch. I think we need. Some people believe we need fundamental changes and that we need structural changes, but something needs to change. Whether it's we get rid of Solskjaer, we get rid of Ed Woodward or whatever it is. I'll probably get rid of some more players. But yeah, I still believe, we're lacking leadership in that team, in my opinion. But yeah, quite a lot of players have underperformed so far this season. There's certain players that do, need to step up to the plate. But yeah, this is your Man United Rochdale preview. I think he's only going to be doing a press conference for the game. I should presume, that he's going to do a press conference and that. But yeah, so Martial, Luke Shaw will be playing tomorrow evening as that's confirmed. I've just read the Man United website. Pogba, Solskjaer's assured he should get minutes under his belt. He should return tomorrow. Should Pogba, like I said, he's been out of an ankle injury. Mason Greenwood, it's not assured he will be playing Mason Greenwood. I'm not going to take it for granted, but there's talks saying that we're hopeful that he can be back into contention for tomorrow, and all that. But yeah, he will make alterations, and that will Solskjaer. So yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, like, on the channel if you do consider subscribe. As always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.